Hello, and welcome to today's digital art tip. Today we'll be focused on RGB or CMYK. When you digitally draw, does it really matter which one you pick? The short answer, yes. Now for the short video on explaining why. If you ever created a new document in Photoshop, whether you realize it or not, or whether or not you cared which RGB or CMYK, Photoshop has always picked for you. And what has always picked is RGB. So should you have always leave it in RGB? Or are there reasons why you should change it to CMYK? Let's explain. RGB is made up of three colors, red, green, and blue, and those three colors make up every color you see in that color mode. CMYK is four colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. All four colors make up all the colors seen in that color mode. So what's the difference between them? RGB is primarily used mainly in digital content on screens and in monitors that you see. And they're able to produce a tremendous amount of different colors. Whereas CMYK is used in the printing world and for basically everything that you see that's printed in real life. So to show the difference between CMYK and RGB, let's create a quick gradient that shows the full spectrum of that color. Here is a rainbow. Likewise in CMYK, let's create the exact same to show the whole spectrum of it. And you'll see instantly that these colors, though they're the same, are visibly different. The greens, the blues, the purple. If you click here, you notice the bright green. This is a lot dull. The color here becomes dull in CMYK. So why does this happen? If you ever pick colors while drawing in RGB, you notice right here is a little warning sign. It's an out of gamut warning. It's basically telling you that all these colors that you're currently selecting is out of gamut or does not exist in CMYK. So what happens if you pick a color that does not exist in CMYK and you go to CMYK? It has to change. So we use this bright lime, bright green, then we hit it. The color drastically changes. It goes to the closest color it can to reproduce that color, which is nothing close to it. Just click over here around the exact same area of the gradient and you'll see it matches it almost perfectly. Out of gamut warning, matches it almost perfectly. So you're probably wondering, how much more colors does RGB have? It's tremendously a lot more. And to get a better idea of it, on a Mac in Photoshop, you hit Shift Command Y, and every color that does not exist in CMYK is now grayed out. So if you start from the top and just slide the color slider down, you begin to see that a lot of colors do not exist in CMYK. So you can see for this reason alone, why when creating a new document, should it be RGB or should it be CMYK? If you're primarily just drawing for digital content only and will not see the light of day as being printed, then go ahead and do RGB because there's a whole lot more colors you can use to make your digital content that much more bright and vibrant, especially if you're trying to use bright greens, blues, and purples or pinks. But if what you're digitally drawing will possibly or will be printed, then it's imperative you create the document in CMYK so that your end result or your artwork that's printed, that's in your hand, matches as closely as possible what you see on the screen. Though it won't be exactly identical because there's a lot of variables as far as your screen or how the printer printed it. But aside from that, in general, it'll be close enough. So if you're ever going to print your digital artwork, then create it in CMYK because every file is converted to CMYK prior to being printed. So to recap, is it important if you pick RGB or CMYK? The answer is yes. And hopefully in the short video, you now understand why. So if you felt this video being helpful, why don't you give it a thumbs up? If you're new here, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button so you never miss any new content that I put out every single week. And until the next drawing or tip, goodbye.